devil. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V. I'm the D-E-V-I-L. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V. I'm the D-E-V-I-L. The devil.
What is up, everybody? How you doing? And welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network for our very first broadcast episode of the new week. Welcome, Sunday night. Sunday night, boy. What has happened to Sunday? Sunday, very quiet Sunday, very boring Sunday, as we have entered our official football offseason time. We had what? Was the NBA All-Star game on today? I guess it was. We didn't even have Four Nations action. We're going to get into some Four Nations talk because there's some definitely things to discuss about that. But no football today. What's the first Sunday of no football since sometime in August? Wow. And then it's going to be that way for the next 4, 5, 6 months. So what do you get a load of that? Of course, baseball is in its infancy. Pitchers and catchers are still reporting, or they reported that they're still pitching and catching tomorrow. The rest of the Phillies will report, and spring training will officially begin for everybody. So welcome to your Sunday night, February 16th, 2025 broadcast. It's great to be back for another week, and boy, do we got a lot of things to discuss on the program tonight. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. We got a parade that happened on Friday. What else we got to talk about? We got to talk about the Four Nations, as I said. We're going to discuss about that. A little bit of Phillies update, because even though it's just pitchers and catchers, and the hot stove period seems to be officially done, the Phillies made some moves. They did. Moves that I don't think are going to solidify them as the 2025 World Series champions, but they made some moves, and we're going to talk about those tonight. The Of the Night segment, the card review, and our main topic of the night, with the Eagles parade being historical. It ended on Friday, and we'll get into the parade because I watched just about every single minute of that thing on Friday afternoon. It's time to get back to work, and what will that look like for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles? And of course, the never-ending struggle between me and the side of evil continues, as apparently now I'm being called out and banned from local morning shows, which I find very interesting. And I really debated whether or not I was going to address it, but I am going to address it because I think it's important, and maybe not for the reason you think I think it's important. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're also going to discuss, is it okay to be critical as a fan of a team? And of course, I know something a little bit about that critical thing. So we're going to discuss, is it okay to be critical of your team? Is it okay to be critical of something that you love? Or must you be a slobbering homer in order to be accepted by the rest? And of course, I am not big on the whole being accepted by the rest mantra. Sometimes I take the anti-stance of things just to be different. And it's sort of been my whole life. But is it okay? And we'll discuss that a little bit. And we'll finish up the night with our card review. So a bunch of things to get into tonight. But before I do, I just want to remind everybody that the program here is, this program and everything else on this network is brought to you by the good folks of the It's a Wrap Sports Network, who are working tirelessly behind the scenes for you in order to provide you great content on a day-to-day basis and an hour-to-hour basis as we continue to grow this thing. I know it doesn't seem like we're growing, There's a lot of action going on behind the scenes and a lot of hopefully big news coming up soon. So stay tuned as we'll hopefully be unveiling some new shows here soon. But for all those that are still, and as we grow this thing, as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, of course, we'll always think back to these dark days that when we first started. But these are definitely the most fun days for me. But yeah, I just want to remind you all that this is brought to you by those good people. So let's get it going here. Let's get it kicked off with your day in Philadelphia sports history. On this day, back in the year 1970, we're going to go into the boxing ring. That's right, man. I told you this. We're not going to shy away from the non-four major sport related topics. But on this day in 70, Smoking Joe Frazier won the undisputed title, knocking out Jimmy Ellis in the 5th round at Madison Square Garden. You might be wondering, who in the hell is Jimmy Ellis, and when did he ever have the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world? Well, apparently, Jimmy Ellis won some sort of like tournament. It was called. It was a tournament essentially that Smoking Joe Frazier did not participate in. But the tournament was held because Muhammad Ali, who was the world heavyweight champion at the time, had to vacate it because of his draft dodging status. And the WBC held a tournament, essentially first man to the top of the mountain type tournament in order to get the belt. And Jimmy Ellis found his way to the belt. Now, as I said, Smoking Joe Frazier did not participate in that tournament, but he did get the belt rightfully back in the right hands of an actual heavyweight champion, Philadelphia's own Smoking Joe Frazier, of course, on this night back in 1970. Now, on March 8th, 1971, about a year later, it would be the fight of the century when Muhammad Ali, who had now been reinstated, would battle Joe Frazier for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. But we'll get more into that on March 8th. But on this night in 1970, Smoking Joe Frazier wins the heavyweight championship of the world, knocking out Jimmy Ellis at Madison Square Garden. Jimmy Ellis, the de facto heavyweight champion, after Muhammad Ali had to vacate the belt because of his draft dodger status, and after the WBC held this sort of tournament in order to win the belt. That Smoking Joe Frazier was not involved in the tournament, but he got the belt on this night back in 70. So congratulations to Smoking Joe Frazier as he became the world heavyweight champion, undisputed world heavyweight champion on this day back in 1970. So there you go. There is your night or your day in Philadelphia sports history. Again, brought to you by the hardworking folk here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, because I guess it will lead me into my first topic. And I was going to start off with let's kind of take this chronologically. So Friday, let's back it up to Friday. The parade of champions meandered its way down Patterson Ave on the Broad Street over to the Ben Franklin Parkway and at the Art Museum for the it's become the new, I guess that is the new thing. The Eagles took the same exact route this time that they did back in 2018, and culminated again with a I don't even know how to describe what happened at the Art Museum. Speeches, I guess, is a kind word to say what occurred, where each member, or not each member, but a select members of the team got up and spoke to the crowd. You had Jalen Hurts talking to the crowd with a drone flying in his face. I don't know what the hell that was all about. And then you had a bunch of players get up there and spew expletives, dropping the F-bomb as they, strutted their stuff proudly on the steps of the Art Museum. And I've heard some sort of backlash. There's been a lot of mixed reactions. I shouldn't say I've heard backlash. I've heard backlash, but I've heard mixed reactions when it comes to the way the Philadelphia Eagles players handled themselves on Friday. And, first and foremost, I get it. This is a culmination of an entire 6+ months of sweat, blood, and tears. I understand that. I especially understand that this day and age, the athletes are more susceptible to hearing all the outside noise more than any other time in history because of what, the social media and the fact that they're on it and they can't just escape it. Back in the day, it was pretty simple. Don't look at the newspaper and don't listen to the radio, and you're pretty much shielded from what everyone else is saying. It ain't so simple these days, and I understand that. So for 6 or 7 months, a lot of these guys had to sit on their hands and take it in silence. And this was their opportunity to kind of like push it back out to everybody else. And probably I am one of those people in that. I guess you could throw me in there in that mix of people. But I understand the emotion, and I understand how proud they were, and how overcome they must have been on the moment. But I still got to think that when you're in a situation like that, in front of a mixed bag of people, young, old, middle-aged, children, so to speak, who took days off from school, who idolize you when they see you play football on Sunday, who watch you with reverence. And I go back to the Charles Barkley statement by saying, I'm not a role model. Well, yeah, you are. And these players are role models. And unfortunately, some of them don't deserve to be role models because their own lives are screwed up, but they are. And they're looked up by these young kids. And I don't care, man. You call me old fashioned, call me a stick in the mud, but all the cursing was thuggish. All the cursing sounded unprofessional. All the cursing sounded like they had no manners or upbringing. And to be honest with you, I thought it was disrespectful, not only to the city, but to the team and to the league. And unfortunately, we had to sit there and listen to that. Now, I know in 2008, Chase Utley and then Jason Kelsey in 2018, but I'm talking like every guy got up there and was dropping F-bombs, and it was really ridiculous, if you ask me. Absolutely 100% ridiculous to listen to these guys, knowing where they are, knowing what audience is standing in front of them, and still, talking like they have no manners. So, I guess that would be the one dark spot upon a very happy day in South Philadelphia and Center City, Philadelphia, as the Eagles, rightfully so, were strutting their stuff. And by all accounts, what I've seen, it was just as good, or if not even in some cases better than it was in 2018. Now, I was not at the parade. I was at the parade in 2018, and I thought it was, of course, something that we've never seen before, but by all reports that I've heard and what I've seen, it looks like they definitely represented well again in 2025 for the parade. Now, a couple other things that came from this parade was the video of Howie Roseman getting hit in the head with a beer can. And no, I was not there, and I did not throw that beer can. But I would like to find out who did. I would love to shake that guy's hand or girl's hand. Whoever threw that beer can, I would love to shake that person's hand, because that brightened my day. I ain't going to lie. That made me smile. And, obviously it's been painted in the light of Howie Roseman, the warrior. No, it's pretty funny. And honestly, I would like to shake that person's hand. It's all over the internet. So for those of you that haven't seen it, I suggest you go out there and you take a look at it, because it's quite funny. It's quite funny. We can laugh at these things now because they're the champions, right? It's not malicious when you laugh about something like this because they have won the championship. I don't have to defend myself on this one, do I? Or is this kind of go with my anti-Howie rhetoric? Or do I have to defend myself? Can I not enjoy it too? Can I not take a moment of silence or solace and enjoy it and enjoy some humor? It was funny. It got smacked right in the, wasn't looking. The thing came right and bang. And it had some English on it too, because it left a nice little cut on his forehead. But he'll be all right. He'll be all right. But yeah, the parade was really fun, and I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed watching. As I said, I watched just about. It was on in the background. I wasn't like fixated at it for 5 or 6 hours, but I did enjoy most of it, and it looked like people were out there behaving themselves. But of course, we all know down there in the pit, it's a different story. But it was fun. It was fun, and the city, I think, overall represented themselves pretty well as the Eagles celebrated their Super Bowl victory by a parade up Broad Street. To the victors go the spoils, right? But let's get back now to earlier on Friday, because listen. And I'm about to give some I'm about to give somebody some free advertisement, and it's okay, because I'm a bigger man and I can do things like that, because that's how I roll. I don't listen to this show anymore. I used to, but I don't. And it's not because I don't like it. It's on during a time of the morning where it's just hard for me to catch. But the Trending in the AM program over there on the STT Sports Network by our man Phil Stifle, right? So Phil does this little morning show thing 5 days a week. It's quality entertainment. I suggest and highly recommend you go over and check it out because it's pretty good, especially if you are part of the Homer crowd. Then if you're part of the Homer crowd, you're going to fit right in over there. But through some spies, and they're not spies that are employed by me. I did not enlist these people, but information comes back to me about apparently I live rent free over there. Apparently my name is mentioned more than once a day, and apparently my antics are brought up more than once a day, and I had no idea that was going on. And I thank you. As I said, though, I hope I'm getting the proper advertising too. Again, this is the Trending in the AM program over on the STT Sports Network. Go ahead, check it out. Mondays through Fridays at 8 a.m. I highly recommend it. Well, apparently I'm banned. I am absolutely banned from that network, which I was told. And I'm wondering why. I have not really participated in that show for a very long time. And I don't have any earthly idea. And then later on, I got more information. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I went back and actually watched the show because I wanted to find out what the hubbub was. So based on my show from Thursday night, when I told the homers out there that they should calm down and relax because you're going to blow out your knee pads on day one, apparently that rubbed Phil the wrong way. And now I don't remember mentioning Phil by name, but listen, if you're a homer, you're a homer, and I'm glad he wears that well, and he accepts that. He's a big man for that. But I've been banned, which I don't even know what that means, because again, I don't really participate over there. I'll listen from time to time, but and just so Phil knows, he's got spies in his camp because people are coming back to me and telling me all the stuff that's being said about me, and whatever. But apparently, his big tagline on the old STT network is "Your opinions matter." Well, apparently they do not. Apparently, they only matter when they fit his narrative. So the question I have for Phil, and the question I have for all the drooling homers on that network that watch that program, and it's not all of you because some of you have been feeding me information, and I appreciate that. But for the ones who, and you know who you are, what is different from your narrative than mine? What is different from your one-sidedness from mine? And what puts you out on the side of righteousness and puts me on the side of evil? It's an interesting question because in this society, in the United States, in a country that I spent 30 years of my life, my entire adult life, minus the past almost 5 years. So all of about 5 years of my adult life, which is the last 5, I spent my life defending the right of people to say what they wanted and when they wanted to, and not how it affected their standing in a circle of people or how it affected their position in certain things. No. It was to defend their right to speak what you wanted to say and when you wanted to say it. Because again, and I heard this from another person about Phil. Apparently, Phil has a problem with the First Amendment of the Constitution. Apparently, he doesn't believe that you can say what you want when you want to say it. Well, maybe there's the problem. And that's fine. If you believe those things, if you believe in censored speech, if you believe in suppressing the right of the people to speak, I'm not gonna chop you down over it. But I don't think you should tag your show with where your opinions matter. That's somewhat hypocritical. So I'm banned, and that's fine. I'm sorry to hear that. I really thought we could work this out, but yeah, I'm banned. And but again, head over to the Special Troops Network. No, it's the Setting the Trends Network. There you go, Setting the Trends Network, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. for the Trending in the AM program. Tell Phil I said hey, because again, I'm a lot of things, but a hypocrite I am not. And so I will go to bed and I will rest easy. But I just wanted to address that because I was bombarded with information on Friday afternoon, And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Why are you people like freaking out? What happened? So I went and checked it out myself. And I guess I rubbed some people the wrong way. And I guess on the STT network, you can say what you want and your opinion matters as much as much as it jives with his opinion and what he says. Because when you go against that and you speak your mind, that's not welcomed over there. So if you're into censored speech, if you're into being suppressed, if you want your First Amendment rights to be suppressed, head over to the Setting the Trends Network and check out Trending in the AM. You won't be disappointed because you found a home there if you're into those things. Now, if you want to be free in what you say, if you want to be free in how you say it, and if you want to be free in saying what you want to say when you want to say it, no matter what, you're in the right place. As I said, I'm a lot of things, but a hypocrite I am not. But I wanted to address that because I have no ill will towards Phil. None at all. But I guess I can't say that without him. But here we go. Again, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I find it very funny that and this is not just him. This is a lot of people that I deal with, and this leads me in, I guess, to the Eagles, to my point about not so much being an Eagles fan, but is it okay about being a fan of a team and be critical of that team? Do you have to go along with the masses in order to be a fan, or can you be critical? Now, I've taken a critical stance on the Philadelphia Eagles specifically, but not exclusively. I'm very critical of the Flyers, very critical of the Phillies as well. But the flavor of the day, the soup du jour, if you will, over the last 6 months has been the Eagles. So, of course, I'm going to be talking about them exclusively. And as much as I am very happy that they won the Super Bowl, and as much as I am not going to sit here and try to fight and be a Super Bowl winning denier, because I can't, that makes no sense because it all played out in front of my eyes and I cannot deny that. And I was hoping that with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, it would have been a bridge between me and the homers in order to come to a common ground. But that common ground or that bridge, I should say, was quickly set afire when not more than 24 hours after winning the Super Bowl, I had to listen to the diatribe of nonsense about Jalen Hurts being the best quarterback ever in Eagles history, Nick Sirianni being the best coach in Eagles history, and how the sun sets and rises around here because of Jalen Hurts and the warmth that he provides us. I had to listen to that not more than 24 hours. So not even more than 24 hours after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we could not even enjoy it before the homers picked up their swords and began to charge up a new hill. And of course, I'm there to resist them. I'm there to meet them on the hill because to me, that's ridiculous. Now, I've put out a graphic over the weekend in sort of contrast to what that statement is about Jalen Hurts being the best quarterback in Eagles history. And I used Nick Foles as my sort of counter, right? Nick Foles, who, listen, I can't deny a couple things. Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. And there's only one other quarterback in Eagle history who's done that. So I use Nick Foles. Now, is that a disrespect towards McNabb? Is it disrespect towards Cunningham? Is it disrespect towards Michael Vick? Is it disrespect towards Sonny Jurgensen? Is it disrespect towards Ron Jaworski? Is it we can go all the way damn back in time. Norm Van Brocklin. We can go all the way back there if you want. Is it disrespecting all those guys? Maybe, but based on the modern Super Bowl era, let's go off of that. And I went off of that and I compared Nick Foles, who's won a Super Bowl and he's won an MVP, to Jalen Hurts, who's done the same thing. And the numbers, though Nick Foles' career is over and Jalen's is still going on, to make a claim at this particular moment in time that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in Eagle history doesn't wash with the numbers that Nick Foles put in while he was here in Philadelphia. His numbers are pretty similar to Jalen Hurts's. I don't have the graphic, but it's up on my YouTube, or not my YouTube. It's up on the Twitter. It's up on our Facebook. Go check it out for yourself And I'm not making a claim to say that Nick Foles is the best quarterback in Eagle history, but I am saying that on February 16th, 2025, you can't sit here and say that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in Eagle history. You just can't do it, because I pointed out one quarterback that has the hardware that Jalen does and has similar numbers as well. So again, I got a lot of backlash for that. Why? Why do I get backlash for reporting the truth? Why would I get backlash for reporting what's happening? You know why? Because again, I'll use the hypocrites now. Let's stop calling them homers. We'll call them hypocrites. When it's okay to support their narrative, they don't want to hear any outside noise. But that's what they accuse me of doing. So I don't know what side is right, what side is wrong at this point. I guess it's turning into what side's more ignorant, me or them. And I can tell you it's not me. So I put that out. And then the other thing that I've come under a lot of attack over was my hypothetical, yet valid claim that trading Saquon Barkley today and getting a haul back in return, a Herschel Walker trade like haul back of draft picks and capital and maybe some young players, could set this team up for the next 8 to 10 years. And I got a lot of backlash for that. Why would I get backlash for doing something that would set this team up for success and greatness for 8 to 10 years to come? Why? And I'm telling you why, because the homers are in love with the players, not in love with the team. And we've sort of already we ran that thing down last week, and I believe it was the knee pad episode. But why would I get backlash for suggesting to make a trade to straighten this team up or to set this team up for the next 10 years? I was also on the train of trading Carson Wentz at the end of the 2017 season for the very same reason. Now, if the Eagles do that, and knowing what we know happened with Carson Wentz, and I got it, Saquon's not coming off of an injury yet, but why not, man? Why not look at moving him along at his most valuable point and trying to set this team up for the next 8 to 10 years? You want to tell me Howie Roseman's some sort of GM genius? Well, that's what GM geniuses do. You want to tell me that Howie has learned from his mistakes and that he goes out and he swings for the fences? Well, what is that? What would a Saquon Barkley trade be? That would be a swing for the fence, like going for the grand slam in the bottom of the ninth at Game 7 of the World Series. And why wouldn't you be on board with that? I'll tell you why you wouldn't be. Because you're in love with the player and you're not in love with the team. So the homers out there need to do some soul searching. The homers out there are not the real fans. The real fans are the fans that are always looking for something better. The real fans are always looking to improve. The real fans always want greatness and want championships year after year after year. Now, back to the going back to work line of questioning. Starting now, the Eagles have to replace 17 players, about 17 players, who are now free agents from their team. Some critical free agents, too. Zach Bond. Let's go with him first. First question I have about Zach Bond is, why wasn't he re-signed yet? Why wasn't Zach Bond re-signed around that December timeframe when they usually want to lock players down? We've always seen that in the past, right? I watched Andy Reid get a long-term contract in December. I watched Donovan McNabb get multiple long-term contracts in December. I watched a lot of players get locked in long-term around the end of the year. Why did Zach Bond not get locked in? And it's a question, I think it's a valid question, and I think it's a question that needs to be asked of Howie Roseman at the end of the season whenever he does his press conference, which I hopefully would be sometime in the next couple of days. Why was Zach Bond not locked down? Do they not look at Zach Bond as long-term? And that's fine. If they don't look at him as long-term, then what's the pivot move? Is Jeremiah Trotter the next pivot move? Is Nakobe Dean, who can't stay healthy, is he the next pivot move? Wouldn't you think that if you want to turn over the linebacking core to Nakobe Dean, you'd feel a little bit more confident in his ability to stay on the field for a full season? Because does a player's injury history affect whether or not they're a hit or a bust as a draft pick? I say it does. If you can't be on the field, how can you be a contributor to the team? So what's going on with the Zach Bond situation? Why don't they look at locking him down long term? Was the numbers not jiving up? Was Zach Bond wanting something crazy and how he was like, no, we ain't doing that? Because you couldn't ask for more of a performance from him. The guy was an all-pro, Pro Bowler, came in fifth in Defensive Player of the Year voting, came out of nowhere. And if the Eagles let him walk, that's fine. What's the plan? Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, key members of that defensive line. Now, I think both of them are pretty much history. Josh Sweat made some comments the other day, which I thought were hilarious, about in reference to the defense or himself not getting voted as the Super Bowl MVP. I applaud you, Josh Sweat, because you're saying what a lot of us are thinking. And I agree with your statement there. And that turned off the homers in a big way, boy. Ooh, man, when you speak out against Jalen Hurts around here, man, the homers turn on you like craziness. I'm not even that bad, man. I'm not even that goddamn matter of fact. But around here, boy, when the homers hear you talk negative, especially about Jalen Hurts, man, it's open season on you. But Josh Sweat, I guess, is talking himself right out of town. Milton Williams is probably going to want a huge bag, and I don't know if the Eagles are going to pay him that. And then we got to look at Brandon Graham, who I would be 100% surprised if he comes back. What would Brandon Graham have to gain by coming back? And honestly, what would the Eagles really be gaining by bringing him back, other than some continuity and some veteran leadership? Which at this point, it's time to turn it over to the next group, and that concerns me too, because I still don't think there's good enough leadership on this football team. So Brandon Graham's probably not going to come back. And then that leaves a lot of major holes along the defensive line and, of course, in the linebacker. And honestly, a bigger part of the reason, bigger than Jalen Hurts, of why the Eagles won the Super Bowl was because of the play of that defense. And I know it came out of nowhere. It sure as hell came out of nowhere for me. I didn't expect the defense to play this good. But they're going to have to maintain that level. And can they? So what's the plan there? Offensively, right? If you're not going to move off of Saquon Barkley, if you're not even going to kick the tires on a trade to get your team set up for the next 8 to 10 years, which again, I don't know why you wouldn't, but that's me, a rational fan talking, not a homer, but a rational fan talking. I don't know why you wouldn't kick the tires. What's the plan to get him some support? Because Ken Gainwell is a free agent, which will probably be gone. Shipley's not ready to take over the mantle as and I hate to say it, a Kenny Gainwell. What is the plan with the running back? Now, picking 32nd overall in this year's draft, there's an opportunity here if the Eagles want to take it. And I don't know if you go with the running back as your first round pick, but I would love that dude from Arizona State. What's his name? Skadaboo? That guy would be a hell of a change of pace type running back to a Saquon Barkley. That would be a nice change of pace type guy. But again, I don't know if you go number one with Skadaboo as a running back, and he probably would be there in the second round as well at 64. But that's got to be looked at. What's your plans for running back? What's the depth piece at running back if you lose Ken Gainwell? And I think you should lose Ken Gainwell. He's nothing special. So what's the plan of giving Saquon Barkley a little bit of a breather this year and not wearing him down and not expecting him to rush for 2,500 yards and not get hurt? Or do you trade him? As I said, a Herschel Walker-like trade package will set the Philadelphia Eagles up for the next 8 to 10 years if you move off Saquon Barkley. Again, homers out there, I'm here to give you another life lesson. It's not about the name on the back. It's about the name on the front. So it's okay to talk about trading Saquon Barkley. But what's the plan there? What's the plan of giving Saquon a little bit of a breather? And what's the plan for wide receiver 3? Is Dotson, who is on the contract, he's not a free agent. Is he your wide receiver 3? Because other than the Super Bowl and that one play, didn't he have a play earlier in the season too against somebody? I should remember all of his great plays because there were so few of them. But is he really what you want at wide receiver 3? One of the problems with the Eagles in 2024 was a very one-layered offensive attack. Now, if you want to blame Jalen Hurts for that, that's fine. If you want to blame what the homers tell you, if it ain't fixed, don't break. Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're going to run the ball with Saquon over and over again, and it worked, and it absolutely did work. But to think that that's going to work in 2025, I think it's ridiculous. How do you make the offense more multi-dimensional? How do you make it more layered? What do you do? After week 4 of this season, the Eagles took away all leadership responsibility from their elite quarterback. They told the elite quarterback, we're not putting you in a position to win or lose games. Again, that's not me talking negatively. That's the reality. The Kellen Moore playbook, which thank God we don't have to worry about anymore, was never run because Jalen Hurts couldn't figure it out. Again, that's your elite quarterback. So what's the plan? Does the new offensive coordinator, whoever he may be, does that dictate a lot on what that plan will be? And how important is it to get that new offensive coordinator here today in order to kind of crack the nut on what the offense will look like in 2025? Because unless, and I don't know what what did Al say? What he told me, wasn't it during the pregame show in the Super Bowl? He told me that Jalen Hurts can't see over the line of scrimmage. That's why they couldn't throw the ball to the middle of the field. Man, the Emporium went open for that one. He wasn't tall enough to see over the middle of the field. I think it's a little bit more deeper than that. But what's the plan there? What's the plan? From the San Francisco 49er game of 2023 until the week 4 game against Tampa Bay, the Eagles were 3-8, and to include 0-1 in the playoffs, right? So they came to a coming to Jesus moment during the bye week and said, we're not going to let Jalen Hurts be the quarterback that can either win or lose a game. We can't afford that anymore because he obviously can't do it for whatever reason. So we're going to make this a run-heavy offense. Is that what the plan is for 2025? I hope if that's the case, that's fine. But can Saquon Barkley do it again? Is it possible that Saquon Barkley could back up a 2,500-yard rushing performance and do it again? I would love to see it. I don't think it's likely. And what happens if he gets hurt? Then what do you do? So what's the plan to get Jalen Hurts some support and some help? Because apparently it's not Jalen, right? It's the other components of the offense that are the reason why they couldn't move the ball through the air effectively or only throw the ball down the sidelines. It was because of apparently the problems with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, which I don't know what those problems were, but what's the plan to multiple layer the offense in 2025? Again, we're going to be the hunted, not the hunter in 2025. And there's a whole bunch of film on how to stop the 2024 Eagles. So what do they do in 2025? So getting back to work, that means a lot. And I guess tomorrow it starts. I don't know if it started today. I don't know what their schedule is down there. But tomorrow, with the offensive coordinator, that would probably be the first thing I would look at doing. What is the plan for the 2025 Eagles? 9 draft picks heading into this year's draft. 9. Picking 32nd in the first round, 64. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 5s, and a 6. That is your draft picks in 2025. What does Howie do with that? Can he do anything with that? Picking at 32 and at 64 in the first and second round. Edge rusher as your first round draft pick, potentially. Running back at second round. Tight end at third, or back, is it edge rusher at 1, tight end at 2, running back at 3, defensive lineman at 4? I mean, what is the plan? And picking so low in the draft in that round, does he trade up? 3 fifth-round picks probably mean he's going to move some of those for potential wiggle room, maybe up in higher selections within the round, possibly the first round. You would think that he's not going to sit on 3 fifth-round draft picks. So a lot of work to do, most definitely. And what are the Eagle free agent targets? Who are they looking at bringing in here? And who would fit here? A lot of good stuff to be coming up over the next few weeks. And it's here, man. There's no time to sit back. They don't have that month off that other teams did because of the fact that they won the Super Bowl. So we got to get to work. Oh, we got some news. Wish you had a daytime. Oh, thank you, Barbara. I don't know how to take that. What, Barbara? Do I not fit in the nights? I thought I'm more of a nighttime guy, but you know what, Barbara? We toyed around with the daytime show concept here on the program or on the network, but right now, my days are, that dynamic that I have here, my days don't fit a show. So maybe later on in the future when things change, if they change, if I get divorced, maybe that will change things. But a nighttime show is pretty much where I'm at. And I've always wanted to do a night show. As I said, I think I'm just kidding around. I fit the nights. So that's why I don't do daytime shows. Steve, you didn't throw the beer can at Howie, did you? No, I addressed that earlier in the program, Steve. I did not throw the beer can at Howie Roseman. And I knew it was just a matter of time before the Philadelphia Police Department would show up at my door asking me some questions about my whereabouts on Friday afternoon. No, I did not throw the beer can, but I want to know who did. And if anybody out there has come forward to admit that they are the guilty party, I want to shake your hand. I want to bring you on the network. I want to bring you on this program, and I want to talk to you because you, sir, or madam, are my hero. But yeah, no, I did not throw the beer can at Howie. I knew. Honestly, I am surprised that nobody came to my door. Honestly, well, I am. But all right, that was fun. Kind of kicking it up a little bit, but no, I did not throw the beer can. Do you honestly think I would do that to Howie Roseman? I would physically attack the man. I have no no ill will towards Howie. Howie's a good man. Trade Saquon Barkley for a Herschel Walker like ransom. You'd be even a better man in my eyes, Howie. But Eagles are going to get back to work on, I guess tomorrow. I don't know what their schedule is. And hopefully they have a plan because 17 pending free agents. They don't have an offensive coordinator. We're back to square one, and nobody cares a lick of crap that they won the Super Bowl because now it's back to square one, and everybody thinks they have a legitimate chance to topple the champion. And with the 2025 schedule the way it is, it ain't going to be easy. So hopefully Howie has a plan in order to crack that nut. And of course, we'll update that plan as we move through the offseason. It should be a quick offseason, which is really good. All right, I want to get into the Four Nations real quick because I don't know if you guys checked this thing out, but the Four Nations tournament's happening in hockey in lieu of their All-Star game this year. They're doing an international Olympic teaser, if you will. And it's between Canada, U.S., Finland, and Sweden. They are the Four Nations, comprised of all NHL players. Last night at the Bell Center in Montreal, Team USA played Team Canada in a game that took on some sort of political messages at the very outset. Of course, with the political climate it is between U.S. and Canada, which I find ridiculous in all senses of the word. There's some heavy, hard feelings between the Canadian people and the American people. Now, listen, again, I'm going to go back to my military training on this because unfortunately, you may not agree with another nation, but you have to show respect. And I've never shied away. I've many times that I have to stand at attention for another flag in another song. And I've done it even as a hockey ref. I had to stand there and listen to the Canadian national anthem. I had to stand there and listen to the Canadian national anthem as a baseball umpire. You know, even in my post-military life, I show the proper respect. But to sit there and listen to the thousands of people that were in the Bell Center last night in Montreal outwardly boo and disrespect the anthem of the United States made me cringe a little bit because the players that are on the ice playing hockey have nothing to do with any sort of political tensions between the two nations. They don't. They are representation of the USA hockey program within the National Hockey League. That's all they are. They're not Trump disciples. They don't work for Trump. They weren't setting policy for Trump. They were there to play a hockey game. And to be disrespected outwardly for what when the national anthem was played really rubbed me the wrong way. And you know what? I give them all credit because if I was there, I would have skated off the ice the minute the Canadian national anthem came on. I would not even have stood there. And I want to give those young men credit. And John Tortorella is one of their assistant coaches. And I would love someone to talk to John about this when they get back from the Four Nations later in the week about that whole thing. But I got to give him a lot of credit for standing there and taking that because I couldn't have done it and I would have left. I would have left and sat back down for their anthem, then got back up and played. But apparently the Brady and Matthew Chukuk did not like it because they took matters into their own hands, literally 2 seconds into the game where Matt Chakuk got into a fight, and then his brother Brady followed it up with a fight, and then JT Miller followed that up with a fight about 5. So 9 seconds into the game, you had 3 major fighting penalties. As I guess that was Team USA's way of saying, we're not listening to that nonsense either. And a tone was set very reminiscent of the 1996 World Cup of Hockey back at the center here in Philadelphia when it first opened. I remember watching that game on TV, the game 1 between USA and Canada. Team USA ended up winning the game 3-1, and they won where it mattered the most on the ice, right? They are now automatically going to be in the championship game. The championship game will be on Thursday in Boston. Tomorrow, the scenes switches from Montreal to Boston, and there'll be another game between the two teams. I think Canada's playing Finland, and US is playing Sweden. And then the championship game will be somebody versus the United States on Thursday. Now, I'm hoping to God that it's Canada. Honestly am. For a lot of different reasons, of course. And it will be in Boston, so that's a good thing. Listen, kudos to not to Team USA, but to USA Hockey. USA Hockey, who has come from behind in everything internationally. First, the 1980 stuff where we burst onto the international hockey scene, beating the Soviet Union, then taking the gold against, was it Finland? No, Sweden. Kind of fell off after that. And then around, I guess, the mid to late 90s, really pushed and revolutionized what USA Hockey was. Right now, internationally, we've won back-to-back World Junior Championships. We won this year in Ottawa. We won last year in Sweden. So we're the 2-time defending World Junior Champion. We have an opportunity to win this thing, which I know is not sanctioned by the IIHF. It's not. It's the NHL. And then, obviously the prelude to this will be the Olympics next February. I'm loving where USA Hockey is at right now. And in a lot of ways, it's better than Hockey Canada. And maybe that's part of the problem, too, is that they're just not accepting the fact that we're passing them up on the international stage. But watching all the players who played on Team USA last night, and yes, they all have a common bond, right? They all came up through the U.S. National Development Program. So they all know each other. They've all played with each other before, and they're not strangers to each other. But watching them go out and handling their business, I don't know if you watched that game, but go ahead and go up on ESPN Plus on their on-demand side, or I'm sure if you can find it on YouTube. It's a great watch, man. It is just as good as the 96 Game 1 of the World Cup of Hockey. If you haven't watched that one, I suggest you watch Game 1, 1996 World Cup of Hockey first between USA and Canada. And then you watch this game because it will properly set it up because you got father and son things going on in this thing. It's all connected. But you really got to see it. Connor McDavid got his bell rung last night. A beautiful check. It was a clean hit. I love seeing Connor McDavid is scary good. Maybe the best player in the world, maybe the fastest player in the world. Had a beautiful goal early in the game last night. But then he got his bell rung. And, it brings up the question about the all-star game integrity between the NFL and the NBA. And then you got this thing going on in the NHL because this is their all-star game. I mean, really, this is what it is this year. And they're out there fighting 3 fights, 9 seconds into a game. They're cleaning each other's clocks out there. Players are going down, connecting left because of an injury. People are getting hurt. They're playing for their countries. They're turning this whole thing completely into a beautiful thing, revolutionizing the whole all-star game format, if you ask me. But watch the 96 Game 1 World Cup of Hockey, then sit down and watch this game, and you will not be disappointed. I promise you that. So you would have pulled a Kaepernick. So yeah, I would have pulled. So I would have skated back to the bench and sat my ass down in a heartbeat during the Canadian national anthem. In a heartbeat, Steve. There's nothing more disrespectful than listening to a bunch of Canucks, who live and breathe under the blanket of freedom that we provide North America, to sit there and be uppity about booing us. All right. Again, it's not political. It's not. We didn't. The players on the ice had nothing to do with the political tensions between USA and Canada. There's nothing going on there. And I hope, in kind, that Thursday night, one, I hope it's USA Canada in the finals, because USA is going to go. Canada's got to win, I think, tomorrow and get some help. But I think, no, if Canada wins tomorrow, they're in the finals. Yeah, I think that's how it works. I hope to God it's USA and Canada in the finals, and I hope the Boston Garden, TD Garden, returns the favor in kind, and I hope they do it tenfold. I hope we rain beer cans down on the ice when they play that damn Canadian national anthem. Nothing pisses me off more than disrespect to the millions, thousands of people, not millions, but thousands of people who paid the ultimate sacrifice for that song, and what that song means to the freedoms of a lot of people and what we do on a daily basis here. So have some class and respect. I'm not telling you gotta like revel in it and be moved by it, but just stand there and be quiet. Show some damn silent respect. So I hope that we have an opportunity on Thursday, if Canada gets to the finals, return the favor. I remember when the hotel rooms were trashed in 96. I have no doubt it was just fine pushing that. Yeah, he was one of those guys, wasn't he? And Chelios was so quiet on the ice, man, but he was a little bastard, man, wasn't he? But you know what? Steve, you probably remember the 96 World Cup of Hockey. Was that not probably the best, with maybe the exception of the 80 Olympics, which I was only 7 years old, and to be honest with you, I did not know what was going on until USA played Russia. And I remember very vividly because that game was on at 5 o'clock live local Eastern time, but ABC did not air it until 8 o'clock. It was on a Friday night. I remember it vividly. I was 7 years old. And actually, I was 6. I wasn't even 7. I was 6. And I remember because news leaked out that they had won already by the time the game had started. And I remember in Mayfair, Northeast Philly, in my mom's bedroom, in a little like freaking 8-inch television, color, sitting there watching the ABC rebroadcast of this game. As I said, the news had already leaked out that Team USA had beat Russia, but not since that time. And again, I was a little kid, but I have vivid memories of that game. That 96 World Cup of Hockey, starting with game 1 against USA and Canada, it was an amazing tournament. Mike Richter, who I could not stand because he played for the Rangers, but he grew up in Flowertown. He's a local guy, stood on his head in that tournament, was making crazy saves. Again, it's the whole thing's available on YouTube. If you have the time to sit down and watch, it's like 5 games that they played throughout the tournament. If you have time to sit down and watch Mike Richter, or not even watch all the tournament, watch just the US, because it was USA and Canada in the first game of the tournament, and then they met in the gold medal like series. It was like a 3-game series for the gold medal or for the trophy. Just watch the USA Canada games and watch Mike Richter and the way he played goalie. Stood on his friggin' head. He won the MVP of the tournament for his play throughout the whole tournament. But I've never seen a goalie play like that in my entire life. And he kept, I mean, Team USA had no business up against Messier, Gretzky, Lindros, not Leclerc, but Desjardins. I mean, you name it, man. Just the players that they had on Canada that year was just it was crazy. And Team USA, they held their own, man. It was a great way to open up the Coors State Center. It was a great way. And in 2028, the World Cup of Hockey returns. I don't know where, but they're bringing it back in 2028. They're going to do it every 4 years. But this 4 nations, I was kind of leery of it. I was like, are they going to play like that? Are they going to play like it's the Olympics? Or are they going to treat it like the All-Star break? They did not. They've treated it like an Olympics. And that game last night was one for the ages. And it was a great game to be a USA hockey fan. It was a great day to be an American as we went out there. And once again, on the international stage, yes, it's not sanctioned internationally, but on the international stage, shut down Hockey Canada again. Team USA is the two-time defending junior world champion, and now we're 1 win away from winning the 4 Nations tournament. So kudos to Team USA, kudos to John Tortorella and all the boys as they're fighting for some gold. Well, they get medals for this, or they get a trophy, or they get money. Tony Amonte, Keith Kachuk, Jeremy Roenick, Leclerc was a lot of power on that team. Chelios was on that team. Was Madonna on that team? Mike Madonna was on that team. Man, come on, let's think of some more. Mike Richter was the goalie, of course. Good God. Brett Hull, did you mention Brett Hull? Brett Hull should have won the damn MVP. And it's a funny thing about Brett Hull because dual citizenship was shunned by Hockey Canada and didn't make the team. So he said, to hell with it, I'm going to play for the Americans. And he had himself a great tournament. And if it hadn't been for the play of Richter, Hull would have won the MVP for that tournament for Team USA. And that was a great sub story to that whole tournament was the play of Brett Hull. But yeah, Leclerc, who scored the first goal in Game 1 against Canada in the Core State Center in front of the Flyer faithful. That was a great moment, man. It was great hockey. So go back and watch the 96 World Cup of Hockey. Go ahead and just watch Game 1 of the tournament, USA versus Canada, and then go watch, if you did not watch it yet, go watch last night's USA Canada Four Nations, because it'll be eerily similar to what you just watched in 96. And it was great to see hockey like that again. So Team USA is on its way, hopefully, to winning the gold or whatever they call it for that. Let's now turn to our attention to the of the night segment, because we're falling way behind. All right, it is the other night segment. It's the time of the night where we sit back and we look at a Flyers prospect, a Phillies prospect, a Flyers draft target, a Phillies draft target. We spotlight a Flyers or a Phillies player, and we introduce you to that person, or we reintroduce you to that person, depending on where you might fall with them. Tonight, we're going to go full board, 3 players we're going to talk tonight. We're going to do a NHL draft target, and we're going to do 2 Phillies spotlight players, because we're falling behind here, and we gotta keep up. Let's do our first with our NHL draft prospect first. Here's a interesting prospect. 6'4", 207-pound right-hand defenseman Blake Fiddler from the USA National Hockey Development Program. We came up through them. He's now in the Western Hockey League playing for Edmonton. He moves really well for a 200-pound plus teenager and has shown some poise and possession and a willingness to transport. His decision-making and read still needs some refinement, but there's a lot of work with him there. And Fiddler's game is primarily about his ability to take up ice behind, defend the rush, and break up plays in the zone. Does this not scream what we're looking for in this town right now? A right-handed defenseman, which you could never, ever, ever, ever have enough of, but somebody that can move really well and is 6'4", 207 pounds, and he's 17 years old. I mean, this kid, if he's available, and I don't even know when that would be. I don't know if the Flyers, they may probably fall around 15, maybe 16. If the wheels continue to come off, maybe top 10, I don't know. But if he's there in the middle teens, you got to look at taking him. And I don't know if he survives to the second round. He's a potential. He's forecasted to go in the first round. But I would definitely take a flyer on this kid. We need somebody like this. We need a goon who can play. We need a goon who can move. I don't need an offensive defenseman. We have too many of them. We don't have enough defensemen. And this kid, he fits that mold. 6'4", 207 pounds, and he's 17. Come on, man. Good night, nurse. Where do I sign up? Give me some Blake Fiddler here in Philadelphia next year. I'd be keeping an eye out and see where he kind of falls. But if he's available in the middle, that 15, 16 area, maybe upper second round, if he slides that far, he's not going to get much past. He won't get that far past top 5 in the second. But if we don't have any offensive opportunities where we're drafting in the first round, don't forget we got potential 3 first-round picks this year. 3 potential. He could be one of those 3, and he would definitely be one of my 3. I would love to have me a right-hand defenseman who is 6'4", 207 pounds, who, guess what, wants to be a defenseman. And that's what we're missing here. Every team has one of these guys. And some of the great Flyers teams had these guys too. Do you remember Shel Samuelson? It's about 6'11", 225 pounds, could not play a lick of offense, but you could not get the puck past him, nor could you win a battle in the corner against him. This is what I need. We need a kid like this. He fits that Sam Moran, maybe that Mato Man mold, but he looks like he's got a little bit more offensive upside. He looks like he can move around a little bit better. This is what I'm looking for. Give me some Blake Fiddler with one of the 3 first-round draft picks that the Flyers have this coming summer. And there you go. Our Flyers, or not our Flyers, but our NHL draft prospect of the night, Blake Fiddler. Hatcher, Schneider, Leach, Housley were all behind the blue line. Yeah. Yes, they were. Yeah, Brian Leach too, man. God, there were some good players. I want to say Sutter or Lafreniere were on the team, but I can't remember. Sutter. I afraid he was. Sutter was not. LaFontaine was. I couldn't believe LaFontaine made the team, but he was. It was a great team. It was a great team of some great players who really missed out, who grew up in the shadow of 80. You know, those kids grew up in the shadow of the 80 Olympics. They were the first generation inspired by Team USA in 1980. But yeah, it was a great. I'm telling you, go rewatch that game. Game 1, 96 World Cup of Hockey Flyers, USA versus Canada. All right, so we did the first part of the night segment, which was our hockey, our NHL prospect. Now we're going to go into our Philly spotlight because, as I mentioned at the top of the program, the Phillies were active. They made some moves. They made 2 personnel moves over the weekend. And yes, no, I'm sorry. These moves probably will not solidify a 2025 World Series, but they definitely need to be talked about because I think they're so inconsequential that it's laughable. So let's go with the first player that the Phillies picked up this week or within the last 24 hours. Oscar Mercado. All right. Now, if you might remember that name, because Mercado actually spent some time in the Phillies organization. He played 1 game for the Phillies in 2022 before he was DFR'd. Last season, Mercado spent time at AAA in the Detroit Tiger organization in Toledo, and he played 15 games for them, batted a robust 200, hit a home run, had 18 RBIs, and I felt embarrassed typing this, but a 289 OPS. Are you kidding me? Is that even register? So Oscar Machado, he's an outfielder. He was signed to a minor league deal with an invitation to camp. So the Phillies are going to kick the tires on Oscar Mercado. You can't call Dave Dombrowski late to the party, or maybe you can call him late to the party, but at least he's there. And he delivered on an outfielder, but he wasn't done. No, it gets better because the Phillies doubled down by bringing in Christian Arroyo, who had his best time of his career with the Red Sox, but last season split time. It was in the Milwaukee Brewer organization. Actually played in the rookie leagues at one point, and then AAA in Nashville for Milwaukee. So over those 2 stops, he played 37 games, had a 222 batting average, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, and a robust 326 OPS. There are your moves by your GM to put us over the top. Juan Soto, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, be damned. Look out for Christian Arroyo and Oscar Mercado, because that's where it's at. And there you go, folks. There's your Of the Night segment. Dave Dombrowski, man, making it happen. Now, I guess the biggest question here is which one of them 2, if any, actually make this team. Arroyo's, of course, is an infielder. So does he have a better opportunity just based on with the position that he plays? He could probably play all the infield positions. He's a second baseman by trade. But amazing, absolutely, utterly amazing that's what we're relegated to. Teams are out there signing Juan Soto and Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman and Blake Snell, and we bring in Christian Arroyo and Oscar Mercado. Yep, it's just utterly amazing. Let the good times roll. See, I can be critical of the Phillies, and trust me, I will be. And boy, they're giving me a lot to start with. So there you have it. There's our of the night segment on this beautiful Sunday night. So let's get into the final segment of the show. My favorite.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, it's the card review segment. This is a time in the show where we took a look at one of my sports cards out of my vast sports card collection, just kind of kick it around a little bit. Definitely the most fun part of the night for me. And tonight we're going back to baseball. I think did we ever leave baseball? No, I know we did football at one point. I'm not sure what we did last Thursday. I think it was baseball. All right, we're staying in baseball. We're going to stay in baseball, and we're going to the 2019 Topps collection to an actual an insert card, a card that was put in as sort of a gimmick. And let's pull it up here. And it's the 2019 Home Run Challenge Jazz Chisholm Jr. card. Basically, what this gimmick was, it kind of was fell in line with those of you who grew up in the 80s and 90s. Every year they had some little gimmick. Back in the mid 90s, it was win a trip to the 1992 spring training, like the year later spring training. If you had to fill out the card, send it in, and that's how you registered for an opportunity to win a trip to spring training. Well, this card, if you flip over the back of this card, it's got a little like area where you can scratch off, and it's a number. You go to a website, you go to this website, you register on the website, you register this number, and you choose a game and a date that you think Jazz Chisholm Jr. will hit a home run. Now, if you are correct, and this was, of course, in 2024, this is last year. I'm sorry, this was last year. It's not 2019, 2024. This was last year. If you were correct, Topps would send you a parallel card of your choice, I believe, as a prize, and you would be automatically enrolled into the grand prize, which was a trip to the 2025 Home Run Derby. So this year's Home Run Derby was the grand prize that you would be automatically eligible and automatically enrolled into as soon as you enrolled into this on this website. So this was the card. This was the gimmick. I have the card here, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. I'll show you the back and everything. It's a really colorful card, and I kind of like it. It's actually about an $8 card on most databases that I've seen, and I'm keeping it because I think there's a market out here. People like these types of cards, and as I said, it's very colorful. I think Topps did a really good job with it. Now, of course, this is Chisholm with the Marlins. He eventually got traded to the Yankees later in that season in 2024, but this was the 2024 Topps Home Run Challenge. Pick a game for a shot to win. Jazz Chisholm Jr. So it was a parallel card for him. And there was a bunch of these cards with different players on that you could win their parallels. So there you go. The 2024 Home Run Challenge card. And here it is in its physical form. Now I'm going to flip it over for you. And on the back, you see that area right there where you can scratch off? That was the where you would reveal the number, I guess. You go to the website and type in that number, and then you would pick a date and a game when Jazz Chisholm was going to hit a home run. And if you were right, you won a parallel card of Jazz Chisholm. And then you were, no matter if you're right or wrong, as soon as you register, you were entered into the grand prize, which is a trip to the 2025 Home Run Derby. So there you have it. The 2024 Home Run Challenge Jazz Chisholm Topps card is your card of the night. And as I said, $8 on just about every database that I see it. Pretty cool card, very colorful card too. And definitely, as Topps giveaways go, one of the more creative ones. So, all right, that's going to do it, folks. We have come to the end, but we want to recap a little bit. Tonight, we went over some of your day in Philadelphia sports history. Smoking Joe Frazier wins the title from Jimmy Ellis. Yeah, that Jimmy Ellis, who won the title because Ali vacated the title because of the draft dodger situation. The WBC had a tournament, and this guy Ellis won it. And then Frazier beats him, setting up the fight of the century about a year later between Ali and Frazier. We also went over is it okay to be critical of your team and still be a fan, or do you have to be a slobbering homer and fall in line with everybody else? I say you don't have to. I discussed my banning from the Trending in the AM program for being critical of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I highly recommend you go over there and check that program out. Again, if you are into not having your First Amendment rights protected, and if you're into being censored, then Phil's the guy for you. That is the Setting the Trends Network, the Trending in the AM program Monday through Fridays at 8 o'clock. I haven't listened to that show in a long time, but people pump information over to me, and that's how I found out I was banned. We went over the fact that the Eagles have to get back to work, and it's not going to be easy to run this thing back as homers might think it is. Talked a little briefly about the parade and about disgusting behavior of some of the players as they were given their speeches. Sorry, they are role models. They have a responsibility to the youth of this city, the youth of this country, and the youth of the world who follow them. I'm sorry, you do, and it's just my opinion. We went over the Four Nations hockey tournament, which is happening right now, and if you haven't checked it out, again, I highly recommend you go watch Game 1 of the 1996 World Cup of Hockey between USA and Canada, and then go watch the game from last night, USA and Canada, and pick out all the similarities if you want to. You'll be very pleasantly surprised, and it's jolly good hockey. And we did our of the night segment. We did 3 players of the night segment, and we did our card review. So we got the week kicked off well. And don't forget on the network, not the program, but the network this week, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, Sal will be back for his wraparound program. I will be back at 8 o'clock with the final word. And on Tuesday at 8:30, put that on your calendar, Tuesday at 8:30, the Clear the Ice crowd returns for our mid-season check-in, as we will check in on the Flyers as they prepare for their final push of 24-25. Maybe we'll look back on the season and we'll look ahead a little bit too and see what's in store for the Flyers. And when the Flyers do resume action on Saturday, this is your lineup, Clear the Ice. Sal has you Saturday, Mike on Tuesday, and Sal on next Thursday as Clear the Ice will return on Saturday. So big, busy weekend on the network. Our first official Sunday of no football. It's come and gone, and we're kind of in the doldrums right now. Nothing really baseball's in its infancy now. Everybody reports Monday, tomorrow, and I believe the first game is on Thursday between the Cubs and the Dodgers, and the first Phillies game is on Saturday. So it's back, right? You just got to get through about 6 more days, and you actually have baseball. Division I baseball is actually happening right now. Major tournaments were wrapped up this weekend. Head over to ESPN Plus and catch some of the replays of those games. A lot of Division I baseball this weekend. It's here, and that's good. So we will talk to you again tomorrow night. I'll be back tomorrow at 8, and don't forget Sal at 7. So busy week, busy night. Let's keep it rolling. It's good to be back for another great week with you. Until we talk again, have a great rest of your night, and even better, tomorrow.